Israel and Israeli companies are key to the design, testing and implementation of 5G. Always remember this news article: Israel combining its technology with China's capacity. Israel is key to keeping China alive on the technology front. That's America's greatest ally, remember? Technology that is worth hundreds of billions of dollars, funded by the US taxpayers via the Pentagon budget. But I guess when you're creating a giant artificial intelligence brain to take over the world, you'll be needing the cooperation of a lot of countries, hence the tech giveaways at taxpayer expense. Before we go on, we should clarify the wavelengths associated with 5G. The 5G you hear about most often is simply based in old 4G towers and operating at 3.4 GHz, not 60 GHz. The flat panel 5G closer to street level are nearly all operating at the 29 to 38 GHz range. Nowhere in China uses the magical 60 GHz oxygen affecting range. They pan out at 37 to 43 GHz, and the majority is 3.4 GHz in towers right next door to the 4G. So when you hear 5G in Wuhan, that's what you're talking about. Only the United States and Canada get the delicious health benefits of the 60 GHz range, which is 64 GHz to be exact. Now that's interesting. Not even China is bothering with that. South Korea has the biggest uptake of 5G networks, and so far no great outbreaks of coronavirus. They, like China, use the vast 3.5 GHz range, and they plan on the rollout of millimetre wave panels later this year in 2020. We should keep an eye out. In short, drop the coronavirus caused by 5G crapola. Please, it's horsepower. Conversely, I guess home WiGig, as they call it, that's a 5G base station as your home router, may well kill us all if it operates at the 60 GHz range as expected. Can't wait for that. It can also map its immediate surroundings in fine detail like the millimetre wave radar on top of an Apache gunship. It can even scan your face, for crying out loud. You just know they are going to abuse the hell out of this in the surveillance state. The good thing is you can refuse to install it in your home, I think. You'll just have to get past the 3,000 base stations blaring out the electromagnetic radiation in your neighbourhood at street level. But then, if this 5G spectrum is blocked by leaves and even rain, maybe you should chill on the frying your eyeballs hysteria. Bottom line is, the jury is still out. No matter how much hysteria our internet masters allow to flood the social media platforms, and they are always happy to allow information they want out there, and they want 5G hysteria out there, clearly. Regardless of the exact facts and fictions, my common sense dictates I do not want to sit in an office or room flooded with 60 GHz of electromagnetic spectrum 8 hours a day, and then go home to it, and the kids will be sitting, bathing in it, at school and at home. You just know this is potentially the next tobacco scandal, or worse.
WiGig is an integral part of my digital life. It makes everyday tasks much easier. On the way to work, I stop by the movie kiosk to grab a flick for tonight. I can download the movie right to my phone and take it with me. A few seconds later, I'm on my way. My tablet is the center of my high-performance workspace. When I get to the office, all my devices connect automatically and I'm ready to get to work. My external devices become an extension of my tablet. All over the office, we found a variety of applications for WiGig. It's especially useful for group projects. I can automatically connect to my colleagues' devices through the corporate network, so I can focus on the task at hand, not the technology. Whether transforming my thin computing device into a workstation, simplifying interaction with my coworkers, or enabling group participation, WiGig enhances the productivity of any workplace. And WiGig's great at home, too. Remember that movie I downloaded this morning? I can play it right from my phone, and the quality's outstanding.
But the AI brain and real-time low-latency data analytics must go ahead. So just shut up and express your rage online where it goes nowhere. Don't leave your house and don't organise and don't lobby your local political class and don't stand for Parliament or Congress. Just shut up and keep quoting idiots online like, I don't know, Joe Imbriano?
All right, folks, this is Joe Imbriano, and once again, we're in a lot of trouble. You know, I don't know why people seem to think it's okay to let them get irradiated. I don't understand what's the matter with you people.
I'm not doing this to be mean, but please. Joe is the go-to man on 5G and 60 gigahertz oxygen deprivation, and apparently the cause of corona symptoms, when it's not even used wholesale anywhere. In 2018, he stated some pretty accurate points on what was coming. Wow, over 1 million views. Joe is Johnny on the spot. This was back in 2018. Joe is quite the celebrity with the Mad Hatter haircut. He likes to go cheap on the roadside banners too. I mean, they ain't that expensive to get professionally done. I'm sure he could crowdfund it, but that would look way too professional when you're placing your mad scientist jockey on the 5G health crisis horse. How crazy is Crazy Joe? Well, Crazy-O talks a good talk. And he even has science degrees, allegedly, but somehow falls short on a few science points like the Earth is flat. Yeah, this is the new David Icke ready to roll out. Crazy Joe, of course, is not crazy enough to name the main culprit in this high technology potential health crisis or health catastrophe. We're not quite sure of the disaster size yet, but we suspect it may be great. Here we go again. Aliens, UFOs, and flat Earth. And everyone's wondering why they're going to make you have a license to get online as people burn down phone towers and quote Flat Earth Joe. Okay, that's enough. Let's get onto Israel and 5G. Let's start with the king of 5G, Qualcomm. Qualcomm dominate mobile 5G technology, all the way from 2G through to 5G. Qualcomm was the leader and everyone paid a premium to use their technology. So where was a good portion of this technology developed? Israel. Because, you know, Americans are just so stupid. Let's remember all the key developers in Israel were from the Soviet Union. Russia and the Ukraine all were the sons and daughters who spoke Russian, and many no doubt were GRU and KGB assets at the time. Let's remember the year Erwin Jacobs is about to talk about in this article, 1973, the year of détente with the Soviet Union and Communist China, and Henry Kissinger and the BSF, or Binational Science Foundation. Around the same time, the ban on Jewish immigration to Israel was lifted in 1971, leading to the 1970s Soviet Union Aliyah, or immigration to Israel. The coming to power of Mikhail Gorbachev in the Soviet Union in the mid-1980s and his policies of glasnost and perestroika, as well as a desire for better relations with the West, led to major changes, and most of these so-called refuseniks were allowed to emigrate. Yeah, you bet they were. This was an intelligence operation to gain technology, and it has been going non-stop ever since. Please watch video number 14, How Russia and Israel Destroyed Intel Corporation. Let's hear it from Qualcomm founder Erwin Jacobs himself, and a few choice quotes. This is the Times of Israel, 21st of January, 2014. Qualcomm founder, a fan long before Startup Nation. Erwin M. Jacobs prides himself on being one of the first US entrepreneurs to discover what Israel could do for multinationals. Some multinationals only became aware of the Startup Nation after reading the book of that title, at which point they rushed in, feet first, to grab a piece of Israel's tech magic for their companies. But others, call them the old-timers, knew the secret of Israel's success years before the country's technology prowess was in vogue. Among those veterans is Erwin M. Jacobs, a co-founder and former chairman of Qualcomm, by far the world's largest cell phone technology company. In the same way that Qualcomm was ahead of its time in cell technology development, I was ahead of my time in seeing Israel's potential, Jacobs told the Times of Israel on the sidelines of this year's Innovex event. A huge corporation, Qualcomm, with a market cap in excess of $100 billion, has 157 facilities in dozens of countries around the world, including Israel. Last year, the company celebrated the 20th anniversary of its presence in Israel, where it has developed some of its most innovative technology. Among the technologies developed by Qualcomm Israel are the company's M2M, or machine-to-machine cellular platform, which is used to track the location of pets, kids, the elderly, and property, a spokesperson said. It's part of Qualcomm's attempt to create an Internet of Everything, where objects are intelligently connected through a combination of advanced wireless networks, modules, sensors, and software to enable the real-time exchange of information, with key elements development in Qualcomm's Haifa facility, the company said. Among the products that have resulted from that technology is TAG, the pet tracking device. Jacobs started his career in telephony and communications in 1968 when he founded Linkabit. The company eventually morphed into Qualcomm in 1985. By that time, Jacobs was very familiar with Israel and Israelis. Quote, "I came to Israel about twice a year. The first time was right before the Yom Kippur War in 1973, he said. Throughout Qualcomm's early years, quote, "a number of Israelis came to work with us in the US. Some stayed and some went back, and we kept working with them until we eventually decided to open an Israeli office in 1993, explains Jacobs. Among Qualcomm's great contributions to mobile technology was development of the CDMA, or Code Division Multiple Access Standard, which paved the way for fast 3G and 4G communications. Israeli teams helped to develop the standards for these technologies, Jacobs says. In the early days of cell phone technology in the mid-1990s, few expected that the mobile revolution would reach the proportions of today. And in recent years, bandwidth, the amount of space on the radio bandwidth dedicated to cellular communications, has become very crowded because of the proliferation of devices and services that consume so much data. Israel, said Jacobs, is an area where Qualcomm is developing the technology to solve this data traffic mire. Israel's biggest contributions to mobile technology is its ability to design better ways of controlling things, increasing data rates and enabling us to squeeze more out of existing bandwidth using technologies such as femtocells, Jacobs said. Quote, "In addition, Israelis are developing some wonderful apps, such as those that can be used for telemedicine, enabling doctors to diagnose and consult with patients remotely." Israel has always held an important place in his heart. Quote, "Both because of my background," Jacobs was born to a Jewish family in New Bedford, Massachusetts in 1933, "and for professional reasons. Israel is a very admirable country with great universities," he said. "The kids go to the army and come out very mature, displaying great talent. We're very pleased to be a part of it, and pleased that Israel is an important part of Qualcomm." How interesting. Now, the next article on 5G in Israel. 5G mobile revolution designed in Israel. Globes is a highly respected online journal based in Israel. And I guess you've already grasped the title. If someone tells you that you're just an anti-Semite repeating tropes you read on the internet about 5G being designed in Israel, well, again, 5G mobile revolution designed in Israel. Now, I'm sure it's a little more complicated than that, but let's just take the article at its word. Qualcomm Israel's Asaf Tobul and Ronan Shoashua tell Globes about the unheard of download speeds and greener networks coming soon. Qualcomm Israel VP Technology Asaf Tobul starts the conversation with an unequivocal statement. Quote, "Qualcomm's first 5G cellular was developed in Israel in Hod Hasharon and will be launched in 2019. The pride he feels at this enormous achievement is unmistakable." Tobul founded Ra'anana-based Design Art, acquired by Qualcomm in 2012. Qualcomm Israel VP Engineering Ronan Sheashawa worked with him, and they are continuing to develop what they began at Design Art, advanced developments for future generations of mobile communications. Tabul states, quote, Qualcomm is developing chips, and the first generation of 5G is being developed here. 5G is an umbrella of various technologies that covers many spheres. The first and most common is the Internet of Things, connecting a great many devices to the Internet, such as refrigerators, lighting, garbage cans, and cameras. We aren't focusing on this so much. We're more interested in developing the ability to achieve very high bandwidth speeds with very low latency. A capacity of about 50 times what there is now on 4G with shorter latency or response times than there are today. What this actually does is facilitate very dynamic interactivity with the internet. Now listen very closely to this part. This is actually key. This is what 5G is really about. Processing for the use of apps will take place on the cloud, not the device. Due to the high speed made possible by 5G, however, the user will not feel the difference at all. He will still feel that processing is taking place within his device. This provides opportunities for a great many new apps in augmented reality, for example, which require many capacities, and also in autonomous cars. Now let me make an addition here. Let's repeat that. Processing for the use of apps will take place on the cloud, not the device. Due to the high speed made possible by 5G, however, the user will not feel the difference at all. He will still feel that processing is taking place within his device. And there is the big secret of 5G, or at least a big chunk of it. Low latency means the AI brain will have direct access to all data because it won't be on your device. All the processing and data will be handled in the magical cloud. They're already doing it with NVIDIA, offering cloud graphics accelerator processing off the device in huge server farms. It's all dependent on your internet connection though. It means a small underpowered device with a good internet connection like 5G can have all the data handled remotely, and that's the plan. No hard drives for you and I at home, it's all going to be in the cloud. How else do you run your monster AI quantum computer? Can't have your data stashed away on a hard drive that might be offline. It wants its data, and it wants it now, in real time, at all times, corporate or individual, and all this stuff is being handled by Israel. And with online craziness continuing, flat earth, burning down 5G towers, Charlottesville, Nuremberg-style rallies chanting Jews will not replace us, ongoing blatant Jew baiting a la 1930s National Socialist Germany, constant hacking by Russians who happen to be Israelis, it's time to lock down the internet and bring everyone to heel. Thank goodness the amazing Israel is there to save us. Sitting in the middle of the Pan-Eurasian superstate economic development known as the Belt and Road, laying that optic fibre network for the AI data. Now let's continue briefly. Mr. Tabul states, there's something very correct about this. First of all, it brings a lot more spectrum into the game. Now that we're developing 28 GHz and 39 GHz, and there's a lot of spectrum there, it gives the operators a lot of breathing room. The second thing is the low latency we mentioned. Everyone's talking about capacity, but the low latency is just as important and just as complicated. Indeed, the article goes on, but you get the idea, and the central role Israel is playing in all of this. Now watch my channel, you will see Benjamin Netanyahu brag like you cannot believe.
Cyber is a real domain of power. It's a huge domain of power. We're definitely in the top 5 cyber powers in the world. I think it's safe to say we're not number 5, and not argue we're not number 4, and then from here on we can start arguing. Israel now is a cyber power, it's a water power, it's a water power, it's a water power, it's a solar power, it's an agricultural power, it's a milk power. Can you imagine? You know which cow produces most milk per cow in the world? You think it's a Dutch cow? It's a French cow? It's an American cow? Almost. It's an Israeli cow. It's a computerized cow. Every move is computerized. This makes Israel very powerful. This makes Israel very powerful. And as a result, having the military on one side and the civilian technology on the other produces the third element of our national strength, which is alliances. These are the same alliances, which is alliances. These are the same alliances that we see now developing in Asia, in the countries of Africa, and Latin America.
And who talks about it in the depth required without adding, white supremacism?
You guys think we're some fucking game? We are going. We are going. White power! Seek high!
Shape-shifting lizards and flat earth.
It's been 19 days since you last came on the show. Our last conversation went, quite frankly, viral, David, which tells me one thing. People want to hear the truth. David, welcome back to London Mail.
I mean, it's so absurd. Israel is the second eye of the Five Eyes network, despite being completely in bed with Russia and China. Now, please tell me how the hell that works and why it's not on everyone's lips. Geez, people wonder why I get so angry and frustrated.
You know the Five Eyes? Israel is the sixth eye? No. Israel is the second eye. Israel is the second eye. Israel is the second eye.
But then, that's the internet. It's just a sewer. Israel does all the Microsoft Windows core coding and security center. That's the keys to the kingdom of the planet's #1 operating system. Have you heard anything about it? Think about it. All the hacking. Things like WannaCry, which Boeing admitted had infected their systems all the way to the shop floor. Can you think of any scenarios that derive from that event?
We're at 26,000 feet. We are in a vertical dive. Not a dive yet, but we've lost vertical control of our airplane.
Boeing uses all Windows-based computing, as does almost the entire corporate world, from the White House to the Pentagon to virology research labs. Come on, who talks about it? Well, not when there is flat Earth and 5G coronavirus to talk about. Microsoft Azure cloud computing, growing exponentially. Microsoft Office Cloud. That's all Microsoft Israel, under a former Israeli military intelligence officer, Asaf Rappaport, who recently retired in December 2019. We believe he was retired after our lobbying, and we don't mean Facebook.
Azure Secret will allow us to provide solutions that are protecting some of the nation's most critical data assets in the cloud.
Azure Government Secret opens up a new marketplace that nobody's been able to get into and invest in.
Secret will enable us to take applications in legacy IT environments and start to move those into a much more scalable platform. This will be a great opportunity to really modernize services and make those more efficient and effective for our defense customers.
And we can take Azure services into the secret realm that clients have been wanting access to.
Microsoft has edge capabilities available now and planning to be available in Secret that are just game changers.
They're looking for new and innovative ways to achieve information superiority, but still have the compliance and security mandates. Azure Government Secret introduces new capabilities to unlock the power of that data.
There's been a push to get into secure cloud environments, really being able to provide these organizations with the type of on-demand availability that they really need to do their jobs. Having the power of Azure Secret behind us really gives us that infinite scalability.
Microsoft has been a strong cybersecurity solution provider to the market. Having Azure Secret Cloud is extremely important for our DoD customers and for their mission.
And no longer do they have to spend hundreds of thousands of dollars building out classified environments within their facilities and paying for properly securing those environments.
Azure Secret will give us flexibility, speed to market, and computing options for customer in the IC and DoD, where we did not have one before. And this is exciting for both us and for Microsoft.
My dad is an economist, leftist, Marxist. My mom was a Sanskrit drama professor.
The same Israeli teams at Microsoft Israel will be handling the Pentagon cloud security from Israel. Oh joy, watch my channel please, tell me you get it. And then the most advanced Intel CPU designs and fabrication, not in Chandler, Arizona. No, they're in Israel. I mean, this is a massive national security issue. And Intel is a disaster, with AMD and Taiwan Semiconductor streaking ahead. The lead toolshed of the fourth industrial revolution. Cloud computing, 5G, robots and drones, AI and quantum computing, 100 miles from China. Designed in Israel, manufactured in China. Why do you think China keeps screaming it wants Taiwan? And despite the United States being the fountainhead from which so much of this technology comes, no one in the United States seems seriously bothered to stop the technology transfer, especially from Israel. How can they? The American and Israeli high technology sectors appear almost totally intertwined. Massive American high-tech companies like Applied Materials and Cadence Design Systems are the very core of the world's high technology world. Cut off China from them and it's all over. It's just one stroke of the presidential pen, but again, to be fair, it is a little bit more complicated than that. You know, love or hate Donald Trump, he's actually the president of the United States. He's not running a YouTube channel. So we get it. It is 5D chess in that sense. And China is tit for tat, as so much manufacturing is done there, and it's threatening to cut off the United States. You can thank Henry Kissinger. Again.
President Putin is my best friend and colleague. This friendship shows the high level of bilateral ties and close strategic coordination between our two countries. Just now, I had candid and fruitful talks with President Putin. We exchanged views on bilateral ties and major issues of international and regional concerns, and reached major consensus. We signed and published 2 major statements, and witnessed the signing of multiple documents of cooperation. I, together with President Putin, reviewed our country's joint achievements in the last 70 years. We have the consensus that China-Russia ties are at its best in history and can enjoy new opportunities for development.
But don't worry. Ted Cruz has the answer. More cooperation with Israel. Please laugh at these quotes from the Jewish Journal reporting on a hardcore neocon Jewish Institute for National Security of America. This is basically Bibi's baby. Quote, "We saw just how problematic that supply chain is in the midst of this pandemic," he said, citing a state-controlled newspaper in China, stating the Chinese government would cut off medication from the US if the Trump administration took action against China over the pandemic. That would not merely be economic warfare, that would be real warfare, Cruz added. Cruz said he has been warning for years that China is the United States' chief geopolitical rival, accusing China of stealing US military technology to avoid research and development costs. Sorry, I'm trying not to laugh. I'll go on. Never before in the history of the world has a nation-state employed an intellectual property theft as a strategy integral to their national defense, he argued. Sorry, I'm still trying not to laugh. The Texan also pointed to the Chinese government putting millions of Uyghur Muslims into concentration camps as reason to decouple from China, as well as China's Belt and Road Initiative of offering cheap and easy credit for governments worldwide to invest in infrastructure. Cruz argued that the BRI, or the Belt and Road Initiative, has caused governments to take on debt they are unable to pay back to China, giving the Chinese government economic leverage over those countries. Quote, "That threat is enormous," Cruz said. If you've been keeping up, you know how funny that all is. And I guess China's been taking lessons from the World Bank and the IMF in how to get economic leverage over countries. I'm sorry. This is so funny, it's hilarious. Anyway, you know war is coming. I mean, it's coming. June, August, God willing, Rothschild's bastard sons in Netanyahu, Putin and Xi will go the way of the dinosaurs, and finally, maybe someone might push Henry Kissinger down the stairs along with the entire board of the CFR and Trilateral Commission. And then hostile foreign lobby groups like AIPAC, the Royal Institute for International Affairs, Chatham House and all the damn think tanks we can think of will be seen for what they are. Hostile, subversive, banker-funded intelligence operations whose sole aim is to use the United States as a battering ram to set up Rothschild central banks and prepare the planet for the global domination of AI, centered in Israel. Well, hopefully the US 5th and 6th fleets won't fall off the flat earth before they take on China and keep Taiwan Semiconductor out of the hands of Xi Jinping and the gang. That's a joke, by the way. Look, the links are below. The links to Tim at abledanger.blogspot.com. He goes into much of this, and we'll see you again soon.
My dad is an economist, leftist, Marxist.
Perhaps you can now understand.
The cloud.
This is America. Don't catch you slipping now. Don't catch you slipping now. Look what I'm whipping now. This is America. Don't catch you slipping now. Don't catch you slipping now. Look what I'm whipping now. This is America. Don't catch you slipping now. Look how I'm living now. Police be tripping now. Yeah, this is America.